Understanding good typography is everything for a designer. You need to have a solid toolbox to design with. So today we're going to go over 15 of the greatest fonts of all time to help strengthen your toolbox. I've got 7 serifs and 8 sans serifs to show. I'm going to start with serifs first and then sans, working my way from number 15 to number 1. I'll talk about the history of these fonts, what fonts they're based on, and good alternates to use. And of course, I'll show you a bunch of use cases of each of these, so stick around. I've been a designer for 13 years now, and a lot of this is based on what's worked for me. So these examples are all from fonts I've used and that have been good to me. They're basically my children. Okay, maybe not, but you get the point. Okay, first of all, I have to tell you a bit about my process of how I arrived at these 15. This was extremely hard to do, especially as a designer. It's like, oh, what about this one I've used for 8 years? Or I can't forget about this funky serif. But if you disagree or think I totally missed a solid font that deserves recognition, let me know in the comments. So what's my criteria for selecting these 15 fonts? Number 1, the design. Obviously, a good font needs to be functional, readable, have good rhythm and flow, and as few annoying quirks as possible so that you're reading text and not a font. Number 2, its impact on society. Some of these fonts are ubiquitous or have been for decades. Number 3, timelessness. There's only 2 or 3 fonts in here that have a bit of character that might eventually date them or make them tire over time, but the character is subtle. Number 4, versatility. Most of the fonts chosen are extremely versatile, meaning they can be used as headlines, body copy, subtext, and more. Some are variable fonts or are part of a mega family. As Massimo Vignelli famously said, out of thousands of typefaces, all we need are a few basic ones and trash the rest. Now that's a pretty extreme opinion, but the 15 fonts you'll see today are ones that should cover your bases, from fashion serifs to geometric sans. And then before we dive in, I have to give a shout out to Jeremiah Shoaff from Typewolf. His site is one of the biggest type resources out there, and it's where I double checked some of my research and alternates. So thank you, Jeremiah, for your contribution to this video, and of course the design community. So with that said, let's dive in. Starting with number 15, Portrait. Portrait is a serif typeface designed in 2013 by Benton Modern and released through Commercial Type. The design is inspired by type fonts of the French Renaissance, such as Garamond, but with a minimalist interpretation. It works really well as both headlines and body copy and has a great italic design too. One of the key characteristics are its triangular serifs and those happy little E's. Personally, I like to use this in place of Garamond. It's available in 4 distinct subfamilies: Portrait, Portrait Text, Portrait Condensed, and Portrait Inline. Number 14, Century Schoolbook. Century Schoolbook is a modern serif typeface originally designed in 1894 by father and son duo Lynn and Morris Benton. It was originally designed to be an easy-to-read font for use in textbooks. Most books back then were set in Century Schoolbook, which now gives this type a nostalgic feel. It was originally intended for body copy, but I think it works really well as headlines too. It's a friendly, low-contrast serif and is available in 2 weights, regular and bold, each available with matching italics. There's also a condensed and monospace version available. And a good alternate for this is a typeface called Pulpo, which is available on Adobe Fonts. Number 13, Bookmania. Bookmania was designed in 2011 by Mark Simonson and is the digital revival of all the Bookman typefaces. If you aren't familiar with Bookman, it was popular in the 70s and known for its ornate swashes. Bookmania has even more swash characters, totaling in 680 available. This font is perfect for capturing that retro feel. Some went a little too swash happy in the 70s with this one, so I always recommend to limit your swashes. It works really well without swashes too, and is very readable as body copy. Bookmania is a complete family available in 5 weights, each with matching italics and small cap styles. Number 12, Benton Modern. Benton Modern was originally designed in 1997 by Tobias Frere-Jones and has been expanded over the years. It's named after Morris Fuller Benton of the father-son duo we talked about earlier who created Century Schoolbook. but I personally think it's a great substitute for all the modern typefaces out there like Modern Number 20 and Modern 216 and Monotype Modern that come with a few too many quirks. The italic is great, but I actually prefer italics from those modern typefaces with their extreme curly ends. The family is available in 6 weights with matching italics, 4 widths, standard, condensed, extra condensed, and compressed, as well as a text version. And a good alternate is Google Fonts Old Standard. Number 11, Domaine. Domaine is part of a large family, but I'm going to focus on the serif version, display, and text. It was designed in 2013 by Chris Soursby. The key characteristics of this typeface are its curvy hook terminals, which become even more exaggerated in the display version. To me, this design detail gives it a playful feminine flair. It's still very versatile and works great for headlines, body copy, and subtext. It's got a great italic too and comes in 5 weights. Number 10, Times Now. Times Now was designed in 2015 by Jan Henrik Arnold. The design is a modern revival of Times New Roman and features a range of lighter and heavier weights which give new flavor to the classic typeface. It feels cleaner and more consistent in weight than Times New Roman and is slightly more condensed. The family is available in 6 weights, including a delicate extra light, and all with matching italics. Number 9, Tiempos. Tiempos is another typeface by designer Chris Soursby. It's based on Copernicus, which is based on Plantin. Of those 3, I picked Tiempos because Copernicus gets a bit too wide for me, and Plantin definitely has a more vintage feel to it. When used in bold weights, it becomes trusted, yet friendly and chunky. It's versatile and comes in both headline and text versions and available in 4 weights, each with matching italics. Okay, now we're getting into the sans with number 8, Mabry. Mabry is a sans serif designed in 2014 by Benjamin Critton and available at Colophon Foundry. The typeface was originally designed for apparel brand Nasty Gal under the name NG Grotesk and later released commercially in 2018 as Mabry. The design is a hybrid of 2 opposing aesthetics, the irregular grotesque of the late 19th century and the rational geometric sans of the early 20th century. I was originally deciding between Mabry and a Grandier and ended up with Mabry because it's a little less irregular. The family is available in 5 weights with matching italics. Number 7, Sweet Sans. Sweet Sans is a sans serif typeface designed in 2011 by Mark van Bronckhorst. The design was inspired by engravers' lettering templates from the early 20th century and features wide letter forms that are extremely legible even at small sizes. The reason I think this is better than similarly wide fonts like Engravers Gothic and Sacker's Gothic is because it isn't as wide as those and is part of a mega family with 9 weights available, each with matching italics and small cap styles. If you want something with a similar purpose but slightly less wide, I'd recommend Proxima Nova. Number 6, Acumin. I wanted to include at least one major workhorse font on here, and this one is it. Acumin was designed in 2015 by Robert Slimbach and is available on Adobe Fonts. It's considered a contemporary neo-grotesque that could also work as a text face. Acumin is a mega family that is available in 5 widths and each width available in 9 weights with matching italics. This comes out to an impressive 90 total styles. At first I was having a hard time deciding between this and Franklin Gothic and ended up with this because of its expansive nature and versatility. But if you want something less monolinear and with more character, I'd recommend Franklin Gothic. Number 5, Apercu. Apercu is a grotesque sans serif typeface released in 2010 by Colophon. It is considered the amalgamation of ITC Johnston, Gill Sans, Newsiat, and Franklin Gothic. The design is full of character and quirks and is easily distinguishable from other grotesques. Personally, I think this font is the only sans that successfully incorporates a double-story G. Its bone structure is the most narrow of all the other sans I picked out, and Apercu is available in 4 weights with matching italics. Number 4, Poppins. Poppins is a geometric sans serif typeface published in 2014 by Indian Type Foundry and is available for free on Google Fonts. I personally love how youthful it looks with its very round A's, B's, and P's, and has a very high X height. It's available in 9 weights with matching italics. Number 3, Futura. Of course, I had to include Futura, which may be a polarizing decision, but I'm showing it here in my favorite style, bold all caps. Originally released in 1927, Futura is a geometric sans serif typeface designed by German type designer Paul Renner. It was a revolutionary design for its time because most books in Germany were still being printed in heavy black letter scripts. Futura has remained consistently popular since its release over 85 years ago. It's the favorite typeface of directors Wes Anderson and Stanley Kubrick and has been the main advertising typeface of Volkswagen since the 60s. Futura continues to be one of the most popular fonts used on the web. Number 2, Circular. Circular is another geometric sans serif typeface. This one was designed in 2013 by Lorenz Brunner, who's also known for designing Accurate. Circular has details that give it a lot of warmth. The design of the lowercase t is very distinctive and makes Circular easy to identify. The fully curved S's and large floating tittles or dots of the I's are also my favorite details. It's available in 4 weights with matching italics. And now for number 1, drum roll please, Helvetica. Does it surprise you that Helvetica is number 1 or annoy you? Helvetica is considered the quintessential neo-Grotesk typeface and was designed in 1957 by Max Mettinger. The design of Helvetica was influenced by Accident's Grotesk, and maybe not many know this, but the original name of Helvetica was Neue Haas Grotesk, but was later changed to Helvetica, which means Swiss in Latin. The thing about Helvetica is it's an easy non-designer's choice to use. I always tell other people that it never hurts using Helvetica, or when in doubt, just use Helvetica. It's extremely readable at a distance because of its tall X height, and it's been used in tons of Fortune 500 logos and continues to work in the digital age today. It has influenced many typefaces since then, and lots of designers are always looking for Helvetica alternates. I think the most notable ones to call out are Aktiv Grotesk and commercial types Neue Haas Grotesk. Thank you for joining me today. I'm linking all of these fonts in my notes below, and I'd love to know which of these are your favorites, or what's a typeface that you never knew about that caught your eye today. And please like this video if you like it, or subscribe to this channel, and that will help me create even more content like this. Thank you.